Talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
No, you guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Come on, people. This is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com. This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest hour. Finest hour.
Welcome to Tuesday afternoon, and this is what literally just happened. I am so involved in watching this, what's playing out on the floor of the United States House right now. I'm literally plugging in my headphones. I just walked in the room. That Katie, the show is starting, and Katie is yelling down the hall, "We are on!"
We are rolling.
I literally completely lost track of time because I have been watching for about the last hour this drama that is unfolding on the House floor right now. And in fact, right now, Tom Emmer from Minnesota is so there's been a couple of votes. I'll get into it in a second. But right now, there's a congressman speaking to the House that is sticking up for Kevin McCarthy. Actually, it looks like he's wrapping up. I was going to go to him because I wanted you to hear some of this, because it's been pretty amazing what's been happening today on the House floor. Maybe we'll go back and get some of that. Matt Gaetz is speaking right now. Let's listen to this for a minute. Let's dip in here.
But after tweeting, "Bring it," and after engaging in profane-laced tirades at House conference, he just lost a motion to table. So I wouldn't necessarily consider that overperforming expectations. And time and again, I've heard my colleagues say that, well, he deserves it because he went through a tough speaker contest. Let me let everyone know, he prevailed in that speaker contest because he made an agreement to fulfill certain commitments to make this an open and honest process, and he has failed to meet those commitments, and that's why we are here. I reserve.
Gentleman reserves his time. Gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Cole.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield 3 minutes to my very good friend, Mr. Jordan of Ohio.
So what's happening right now
Ohio
is they're
is
going
recognized
back and forth from Matt Gaetz and his team that are, saying why they're voting to remove McCarthy, and then back to Tom Cole from Oklahoma and his team who are representing Kevin McCarthy and why he should stay. And now Jim Jordan is speaking. So let's listen to that. He's supporting McCarthy.
We have passed the bills we told the American people we would pass. 87,000 IRS agents, that bill passed. Parents' Bill of Rights, that bill passed. Energy legislation passed. Border security, immigration enforcement legislation, the strongest bill ever to pass the Congress, passed earlier this year. We have done what we told them we were going to do. We can't help it the Senate won't take up those good common sense bills. They'll have to answer to the American people come Election Day. Oversight. We have done the oversight that we're supposed to do. Because of our oversight, we know that parents were targeted by the Department of Justice. Because of our oversight, we know that 51 former intel officials misled the country weeks before the most important election we have. And because of our oversight, the Disinformation Governance Board at the Department of Homeland Security is.
We'll keep an eye on this. I don't need Jim Jordan to list all the things that the Republicans have done over the last year, because the other side of the Republican Party was part of that too. So the accomplishments are the entire party's accomplishments, not just Kevin McCarthy's. And it's interesting. Jim Jordan is the guy that they should have had leading this charge. So obviously Matt Gaetz is the one that is leading the way for the group that is pushing for the motion to remove Kevin McCarthy, which
Right.
that vote has not happened yet. There's been at least 3 votes in the House already today. None of them are that one, though. It's all about, like, it's like, do we move forward with this motion, yay or nay? Do we table this motion, yay or nay? Do we support the nay on the tabling? Like, literally, it's like, are you sure? Are you sure you're sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're sure you're sure?
Right.
It's a little ridiculous. But I will say this, and again, it's a little scattered because this is all happening so quickly. Watching this last half hour or so, and this is about over because each side only got, they only have 30 minutes to do this, and we're well into that 30. Like that 30 minutes is almost up, so the vote is going to be coming really soon, and probably will go down while we're on the air today. But after the motion to table the request, which would have meant that they would not have voted on this, and Kevin McCarthy would have stayed as Speaker of the House, that failed. Let's listen to Matt Gaetz again for just a second. I'm sorry. This has been my life for the last hour.
Sent a subpoena to Hunter Biden. So it's hard to make the argument that oversight is the reason to continue when it sort of looks like failure theater. I yield such time as he may consume to my colleague from Arizona, Mr. Biggs.
Gentleman from Arizona is
This is Andy
recognized.
Biggs.
How much time?
What he consumes.
So much as he may consume.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a serious time. And my mind immediately goes to the young deputy from Cochise County who 2 nights ago, while trying to apprehend
Okay.
a runaway...
All right, sorry. This is chaotic, I know, but this is live
This
radio.
is
and
live.
This is
Yeah.
live history
We're doing it
unfolding in
live.
front of us. So, Matt Gaetz and his team, which are Andy Biggs, who's talking now, and Bob Good from Virginia, among others, are making their case now. So the motion to table, which would have meant we're not going to vote on removing Kevin McCarthy, that failed about 45 minutes ago. And since that failed, now there will be a vote on whether or not Kevin McCarthy should be removed as Speaker. And he's probably going to be removed because it takes 5 Republicans to vote against him to remove him, unless Democrats join, which there's been no sign that any Democrats are going to vote for Kevin McCarthy. And there's been 6 that have six Republicans that have very publicly said they're not going to vote for him.
Right.
So that's more than enough. And who knows if there's even more than that, that haven't been as vocal. But in the meantime, between that vote to table and the upcoming vote to remove Kevin McCarthy, like I said, there's a half hour where these two sides are able to sort of make their case. And Gaetz, Bob Good, Andy Biggs, whatever you think about them and what they are saying, as I'm watching them, they come off to me as authentic and genuine and serious and passionate. Tom Cole, who I have known nothing about, this Oklahoma congressman, who's the main voice for Kevin McCarthy, was if you picture like a swampy politician.
That's him.
This is all my opinion now. I knew nothing of Tom Cole going into this. That's why I just said, like, they have Jim Jordan on that side.
Yeah.
Let Jim Jordan be your main guy, because Jim Jordan is somebody that a lot of credible in both sides of this divide.
He is not a swamp
listen
rat.
to and kind of agree with. Yeah,
it seems
this Tom Cole. So Bob Good. Matt Gaetz has done actually the least amount of the speaking up there for his side. He's actually been deferring to, like he just did with Andy Biggs and he did with Bob Good earlier. So even though Gaetz is the leader of that group, he's not been the one speaking the most. Tom Cole is the leader of the other side, and he has been speaking the most. And like I said, not only has he come off as very swampy, Matt Gaetz and Bob Good made the point, like, they attacked Democrats when they went up there and said, not only are we angry at Kevin McCarthy, but we're angry at Kevin McCarthy because if the Democrats get what they want and the direction that the Democrats have been trying to pull this country is destructive and is ruining this country.
Mm-hmm.
So he went right after Democrats they went right after Democrats just as much as they did Kevin McCarthy. Tom Cole is up there, like, talking about how great the Democrats are and how, like, literally, go back and listen, how much it is, how we may have some disagreements, but it's so important that we work together and my good friends on the other side of the aisle. And then he gets done speaking the first time and gets a round of applause from Republicans and Democrats. If you're getting a round of applause from Republicans and Democrats in Washington, D.C., I don't care what you're speaking about or who you are. In my mind, that is a big red flag.
Sus. Could be sus.
If Republicans and Democrats are all on the same page about something, especially when it comes to, like, inside politics like this, that definitely makes me suspicious. So
screaming red flags.
Yeah, I don't. For me, that is screaming red flags, and I don't know. And Tom Cole just comes off, as I mentioned, agree with him or don't agree with him. The Gaetz side, to me, comes off very authentic. And the other side comes off very politician-y. If that's a word.
I think that is the difference of what's going on in just the Republican Party as a whole. I mean, don't get me wrong. Matt Gaetz, not my cup of tea. Think he is a frat boy through and through.
Yeah.
And there's personality traits that I'm like, yucko.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do agree with your point of the passion, and there is an authenticity that's happening right now Andy Biggs is a big name.
Yeah.
That's a big roller. That's a hot shot in the Republican Party,
There's not
too.
very many people up there that, like, are easy to like.
No.
On any side.
Except for
Matt
George.
Gaetz is not easy to like.
Yeah. But he's pleading his case.
This Tom Cole is not easy to like. Kevin McCarthy is not easy to like. Like, it's just it's just kind of a bad look. But
it does
when
seem
I
like
hear
he's
them
making
talk,
his point.
I feel like the opposition group, the Gaetz group, has really good point. Is making a really good case.
And I think that there is a hunger right now within the Republican Party to have people that are more gutsy and willing to stand up to the status quo, which is what I would believe Matt Gaetz and the like categorize Kevin McCarthy. Now, there are promises that Matt Gaetz is talking about that Kevin McCarthy didn't make. I don't know if it's sour grapes. I don't know if it's because he's really passionate.
Yeah, turn this up for a second. Andy Biggs is screaming.
They will not enforce border laws. And we can pass them till we're blue in the face. But until you leverage the budget,
he's
and
talking
the spending,
about what he was talking about
you
just
will
now
not see
is
enforcement by this administration.
if you were listening to Jim Jordan, he was talking about how they cut IRS agents and how they got some of that done. Andy Biggs just pointed out that the IRS is still 80% bigger than it was before.
It's still
so
huge.
Just because you got 20% of the bloat out of the way doesn't mean that you solved any problems. And he's saying that he's pointing out the failures at the border by Kevin McCarthy. And
See, this is where is where I need to listen a little bit more to Matt Gaetz, because it seems to me that Matt Gaetz is talking about promises Kevin McCarthy made that were like...
That's been the whole case.
But what is it? Promises that were like, you can get this position and you can get this position, or were they like, I am going to decrease the IRS and I haven't done it?
Stuff. That sort of, yes, more of that. Like pointing out specific things like Ukraine. Like apparently, so we talked yesterday about how this continuing resolution does not give any more money to Ukraine. I mean, just look at them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the two sides.
But man, I just
Which team looks like this?
I
politicians
get
and
standing
side.
your ground. I totally get that with the
That's
Matt
a
Gaetz
terrible
side,
thing to say, but
I don't. I don't understand what Dan Bongino, I think, said it best. I don't understand what the goal is going to be, because who are you going to get in there that isn't as equally as an establishment conservative than Kevin McCarthy? I mean, who's going to be more conservative? Dan Bongino said this. Who's going to be more conservative than Kevin McCarthy?
Right.
Who's going to do it?
Now Bruce Westerman from Arizona is speaking on behalf of McCarthy, and he's praying.
Oh.
He just said, "Blessed be the Lord," and I can only read a little bit here as we're talking, but reference the Psalms, something in the Bible.
We're praying for Kevin McCarthy.
We don't need to this is. I just don't like that approach. It just doesn't come off as genuine. It just doesn't sound authentic. It just sounds like the go along to get along.
Yeah.
Just, this is how we do things. This is the good old boys club. I mean, that's just how it resonates with me. And I'm not like this big Matt Gaetz fan, and I haven't been this big Matt Gaetz fan. I'm certainly not a Kevin McCarthy fan either. Like I said earlier, it's kind of hard to find anybody to like in this situation. But I don't know. After watching today, and they're about to start this vote, so we'll keep you posted on that up to the second here. So just keep it here with us, and we'll keep you right up to speed on all of it. I don't know. It just seems like Matt Gaetz, when we had him up a moment ago, if you heard him say, talking about when they were kind of listing off their successes, and Matt Gaetz said, it's not good enough, we can all sit here and put out a campaign ad and see all the Democrats are even clapping for the other side, that's just a bad sign. Anyway, it just seems very much more genuine coming from the anti-McCarthy side than it does the pro-McCarthy side. He keeps saying, what I was going to say is Matt Gaetz was mentioning earlier, that they keep bringing up that Kevin McCarthy deserves this because it was such a hard fight to get the speakers. And Matt Gaetz keeps saying, that is not a good argument.
That has nothing to do with
that it was a hard fight to get the speakers does not mean that he's earns it or deserves it. You don't deserve it if you don't do your job. And it's up to the people to decide, and now these guys who represent the people to decide, has Kevin McCarthy been doing his job? And I think that you can make the case that he's not. See, now Massey's speaking on behalf of McCarthy. They have Jim Jordan and Thomas Massey. Why do they have this Tom Cole leading their way? Trust me, that is not the way to go, guys.
I just feel like this is a good observation to see for the conservatives, because there is a stark difference going on that isn't involving Trump. There is a stark difference in conservatism and the way forward. And right now, Matt Gaetz and a couple others in the Conservative Party are leading the way in what they believe the next generation is going to do.
We're going to talk to Crane Durham today. He joins us every Tuesday afternoon. So let's get Crane on the line and keep an eye on this. And when the vote starts, we will keep you up to speed every step of the way. But it looks like the vote on whether or not Kevin McCarthy will remain Speaker of the House will happen during our show this afternoon. So keep it here for all of those details. And we will regroup, get you the latest, and get Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com, his opinions on this and more next on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I guess trying to force everybody to drive electric vehicles isn't enough for one state. They're suing oil companies for producing oil. I'll tell you about it on Wednesday.
Mornings starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL. Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis.
Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Come on, people. This is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
How's your health care? Insured but afraid to use it because of high copays and deductibles? You wait weeks for a few minutes with your doctor? It's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I struggle with the same issues as both patient and doc. You want to know that you're the focus, not the billing codes or faceless denial experts at insurance skyscrapers, which is why I've decided there's a better way. At Body of Health Direct Primary Care, you'll receive timely and time-rich appointments in person or virtually, whichever fits your needs and schedule, along with hundreds of free medications, transparent and truly affordable labs, and most importantly, a trusting relationship. We'll dig deep for solutions to problems and fill you with holistic coaching to minimize the need for high-powered medicine or specialty care. Now, if you need that, I'll work with specialists to streamline that journey too. And if it's prenatal care, hormonal, or sexual health that's bugging you, I'm board certified in women's health. Want a Body of Health? Get to know us at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Mark McCloskey here, and my friend Mike Lindell and his team at MyPillow are having a big sale to celebrate their 20th anniversary and the sale of over 80 million pillows. Mike and his team want to thank everyone by giving you the lowest price in their history. The MyPillow queen-size pillows that are regularly $69.98 are now just $19.98, and for just $10 more, you get a king size. MyPillow's patented fill adjusts your exact individual needs to help you get the best sleep ever. Patty and I have slept on MyPillows for a long time, and we just got our new 2.0 pillows and a set of Giza Dream Sheets, and we love them. Go to MyPillow.com to get queen-size MyPillows for only $19.98 or call 800-645-1392 and use the promo code ONFIRE. In addition to this special anniversary offer on the MyPillows, you will also receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-645-1392 and use the promo code ONFIRE to unlock these savings.
Wow, that was my reaction when I walked into Napoli C, now open on the streets of St. Charles, right next door to Napoli 3. And Napoli C is like walking into a 2-level submarine. Fish just outside the portholes. The menu's going to be filled with various seafood, lobster, crab. Good luck with choosing. Napoli C is now open on the streets of St. Charles. Join me at any Cafe Napoli. Clayton, Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles are right next door, Napoli C.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Democrats do what they do.
We choose truth over facts.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Whoosh. That's the ugly part of a shutdown. Real people get hurt.
It's time for the Republicans to start doing the job America elected them to do.
The tail wagging the dog is not the way you do this.
1019 and 94.1.
I will not consent to any spending bill that provides any more American aid to Ukraine.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Keeping an eye on this soon-to-be vote on the floor of the House on whether or not to remove Kevin McCarthy from his speaker position. And we're going to get Crane Durham on the line with us in just a moment. And Katie said to me just now that Crane, as she is getting Crane on the line, she said, just an FYI, Crane strongly disagrees with you, which I think is fantastic because that's what this is all about. I want somebody to disagree with me because I want to have this conversation. Last thing I'm going to point out during that break, continuing to keep an eye on this. I spoke to the authenticness of the Gaetz side. That again, I didn't go into today as a big Matt Gaetz fan. I'm just watching this play out and having a natural reaction to it. They each get a certain amount of time, each side. And if you heard earlier when Gates let Andy Biggs go up, the speaker, the acting speaker, said, for how long? Because there's a finite amount of time you get. So,
Right.
you can assign 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever.
Right.
And Gates said, as much as he consumes. So as much of my time as he takes, he
Let
can
her
have.
rip.
And during that break, they go back and forth, and they'll go to Matt Gaetz and they'll say, the gentleman from Florida, and he just says, no, we've made our case. And the other side, it's like the Cole congressman from Oklahoma is like, well, I'm going to give it to so-and-so for a minute and a half. I'm going to give it to so-and-so for 2 minutes. It's like everybody over there has got to get they're all making their campaign ads.
There's Ian Wagner.
They're all, yeah. They're all up there getting their moment in the sun. They're all making, getting on the record, making their speech. And the other side, again, is just more authentic and genuine to me, is like,
we're done.
We've told you all the things there is. The only time that they have been taking their time is to rebuke when somebody says something that they disagree with, to reply to that. They're not making their case anymore. They're just in their
right
words, correcting the record and setting whatever straight, and then saying, we don't need any more time. We can get to this
We're
vote.
done.
But the other side, it's typical politicians, everybody's got to have their 1 minute of grandstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's really how it's played out to me today. Crane, brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got to hug, even when they don't agree. Thank you so much, as always, for your time today. You've heard my opinion. What are your thoughts on this whole thing today?
Well, as I walk across the studio mid-range, we meet, we hug, we give each other a good look in the eye, and we go back to our respective
corners,
microphones to get into the process. I high-five Katie to know that we are going to have a respectful exchange.
Yes.
And hearing what you had to say regarding Cole, Representative Tom Cole, and Matt Gaetz, I've got to tell you, there's a number of reasons the Cole side is taking more time. They just lost the table vote.
Right.
And they in the vote calculus, they could only lose 5 votes. They lost 10 votes to table it. So they're making their case to their fellow members. And I think we can say a lot about different people and their motives. Nobody really knows their heart. But if you're looking for genuine conservatives, Jim Jordan is up there.
I agree. Which is why I think that he should be the one leading that side, not Tom Cole. But again, I know nothing about Tom Cole except for what I've seen today. So maybe I've got a bad. Maybe this.
See, I just took it a different way. I abhor what Democrats are doing to this country, and there is lawlessness and a whole lot of problems that we need to deal with. But part of the problem is that the Republican Party hasn't convinced enough Americans to vote out more Democrats and vote in more Republicans. Now, that could be the internal strife with bad candidates, whether they are heartfelt or not. I'm talking about in the 22 election cycle. And yes, that goes to, it could also be that the candidate who is being terribly mistreated, and that being Donald Trump, love his policies, really don't like his behavior, but don't think that that's a plus for the Republican Party in selling ideas, because it gets us further away from the very thing that Matt Gaetz and others say we want to talk about.
So one thing at a time here, Crane, because there's a lot. I want to go. Okay. I want to go one. Yeah. I want to go one step at a time. You just mentioned.
Go ahead.
You mentioned the Democrats, and we talked about this earlier with the Democrats. One of the big cases, one of the big points that Matt Gaetz and his side are making against Kevin McCarthy is that he's giving too much. He's bending too much to the Democrats. You have to give a little bit, obviously, to get anything done. However, there's a lot of Republicans out there probably screaming at the radio going, the Democrats never give an inch. Why are we supposed to give an inch? So that's a whole nother part of – hold on. Let me ask you this. So it's my fault. It's my fault because I got off track there.
No,
so Matt Gaetz is saying that we've bent too much to the Democrats. Would you agree with that? How would you combat that point if you are
if I'm
supporting McCarthy?
Kevin,
Yes.
Yes, I would do it by saying he could have voted for a more conservative legislation that was brought to them and thereby unified the Republicans to pass it all without help from the Democrats. The only reason is they turned down the most conservative piece of legislation that was presented that McCarthy knew support for in the sense of the entire party. The reason they went to Democrats is because the Gateses didn't work with them. And if you think Kevin McCarthy is sitting there going, gee, I want to work with a Democrat. No, he wants a unified party.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the likes of Jordan and Massey and others who are sitting there going, look, this
Steve
is the best we can.
Scalise is speaking right now on behalf of Kevin McCarthy. There's some big name, respectable Republicans on that side. There's no doubt about it.
Because we've had this debate. We had it when the speaker was getting elected 18 times or 18 votes or whatever it was. So what gets me is I'm sitting there and I'm saying, okay, well, Gates is saying we're going to get rid of the speaker, but we don't have somebody to come in, maybe a unicorn.
That's a big problem. That's a great point. If that's the biggest, that to me is the biggest point against what Matt Gaetz is doing, is that there's no clear, not even clear. There's nobody else that anybody's going to agree on as far as taking that spot. I could see that wholeheartedly. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, and so you don't have an alternative, and you get mad at McCarthy for working with Democrats, yet you court Democrats in your latest try to unseat the speaker. Now, if it's a knee-jerk reaction to working with Democrats and not recognizing context, then I don't think your case is very, very strong. Because if you don't recognize context, you get conned by the text, and the text is this. The idea that you could get more legislation passed or a greater degree of conservative principles in legislation, and that was given to you, and you passed. And so giving that, he's sitting there going, do we want a government shutdown right now? Or do we play the game to go another 45 days? And please hear me.
No,
I'm totally for. I probably disagree with a lot of the House or a majority of the House, possibly, because I think we should be funding Ukraine even more. I know it's wacky, but look at isolationism and what it does to us in history. It doesn't have a good record. That said, we get the idea of what we can do. And McCarthy, for all his faults, and you, me, Katie, we've all pointed him out. But he's done a pretty doggone good job with the hand he's been dealt. And I'm not ready to throw the chamber into chaos and thereby have the story be Republicans can't even agree on what they agree on.
Yeah. That's a great point. That's a great point. Let me ask you this. And maybe this is the core of the problem. As I pointed out a couple minutes ago, I think it's indisputable that Democrats have been able to circle the wagons, hold their message together in general better than Republicans over the years. They've been able to pick away. They've been able to gain ground. Republicans always willing to negotiate and give a little, thinking that they're going to get a little bit back on the other side, and that never happens. Would you agree with that? I mean, not never. You know what I mean? In general, like that's it. It feels like the Democrats over the years have
they
won the political game.
Gone in lockstep.
Yeah,
and it's their statist ways. They've gone in lockstep every step of the way.
Yep.
Nancy Pelosi was very effective at that, and it does seem like Republicans couldn't really make the case, because when you make the case for a conservative case and 2 + 2 doesn't equal 5, it doesn't take a Rip and Einstein to figure out, gee, that doesn't work. Could be crime, could be the border, could be national security. So yes.
And on top of that, Republicans also seem to always make the argument that the reason that they're negotiating a little bit is because, we're willing to give a little bit here because we're going to get a little bit over here. And they never get the little bit. They're always making the case that they're going, which by the way, in a perfect, fair world, that is the way it's supposed to work. That approach is the way it's supposed to work. But on top of the Democrats staying united and not backing down, they also, the Republicans have been way more willing to give and negotiate and always either think that it's going to be different on the other side, or they at least make the case to the voters that, well, the reason we did this is because we've got to give a little bit to get a little bit, and they never do. So if we can agree that that's the history of politics in a nutshell, right or wrong, Matt Gaetz and his group have, I think, at least rallied the support of the people that have said enough is enough. Now, again, you've pointed out great reasons why this isn't the time to do this. This isn't the right situation to do this in. And I will definitely give you that, especially with there be no clear-cut alternative to Kevin McCarthy, that what are you doing if you're going to throw the House into chaos? However, with that long history of being pushed around and bullied and taken advantage of by the Democratic Party, I think that there is a very solid group of conservative voters and conservative politicians, the minority, but still a strong group, that are just finally saying somebody's finally drawing the line and saying enough is enough. And that's been, having that take is enough, gives Matt Gaetz and his group enough power to really create the situation that we're in right now. Would you agree that would probably has a lot to do with why we're here, because of that history?
I can certainly see the argument, okay? Though I disagree with it, because I would bring up the fact that spending were the real issue, then where were a lot of people, not necessarily Gaetz, but where were people when Trump was spending so much money?
Sure.
Okay. So there's a problem with this. And I've gone back, 2013, I was talking about inflation. It didn't come with QE1, 2, and then I think we're 4 by the time 2013. Digress only to say these issues are not new issues. And the way we do it in our system is we don't understand. I think the Republicans don't understand that you've got to convince the American people. And the way to make a case is certainly a way to do it is be unified on the case and get your key messages out there. And I think you can do that, but it takes discipline, and it takes the fact that when you are offered certain deals, recognizing, gee, this bill is the best we're going to get, not the one that McCarthy passed, because that's not, but you had the opportunity to go with the other deal that was more conservative, that had included the border. You had the opportunity. You've got to take the opportunity. And yes, it's a game sometimes, isn't it? Negotiation. How far can I push? How far can I go? I get that. But I see Kevin McCarthy as a guy who is sitting there going, we're going to offer this to you. If he wasn't offering those alternatives and just went to the Democrats right away, then you may have a better case. And the number one issue right now, I truly believe, is order and chaos. Mm-hmm. And chaos is the order, as you know, and we have it everywhere. So we want functional government, even though I disagree with a whole host of things, as you do, as Katie does.
Yeah.
And we want that to be able to work so the military get their checks on time.
So there was a really interesting exchange that just happened that I want to get your thoughts on. I know Katie has got some opinions and questions to ask as well. So let's continue this in just a second with Crane Durham from nothingbutruth.com here on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie. Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
We need proper representation.
You don't get the policies without the man.
Age is an issue, but there are a lot of broader issues.
101.9 and 94.1.
That's it.
News Talk STL.
This is the perfect time to upgrade your home. Mike Ferguson here from my friends at Window World. Their number is 314-993-1800. Improve your home with Window World's double-strength glass windows. Those come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. 314-993-1800. Get a free in-home estimate. Window World is the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. 314-993-1800 or windowworld.com. When it comes to buying or selling a home, you've got to work with people that you trust. It's just crucial. Mike Ferguson here. And when my wife and I decided that we wanted to get a cabin or a weekend home or a vacation home, whatever it turns out to be, the first thing I did was call my friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at 314-810-SOLD. This is too big of an investment to leave to chance, and that's why I trust Rodney and Jen, and I think you should too. Vic Porcelli, I know you feel the same way, right?
Yeah, Mike, no doubt. Here's the thing. You've been in your house for 30 years. You say to your spouse, my goodness, we don't need all this room anymore. Let's call Rodney and Jen Wallner and get the heck out of here, okay? They have so many home buyers approved, ready to go, ready to pull the trigger. They might even sell your house before it hits the market. And an astounding fact that the Wallner team sells 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor. Nobody else you should go to or call than Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and SouthernArmory.com. That's SouthernArmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at SouthernArmory.com.
This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
When you were here before, couldn't look you in the eye. You're just like an angel. Your skin makes me cry. You float like a feather in a beautiful world.
Now we go over here. This has been back and forth all day. Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Just
there she is. Now
continuing to watch the drama happening on the House floor right now as they get ready to make this vote. You got Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com on the line with us as we do every Tuesday afternoon. Crane, to the point that I was kind of making a moment ago about, I think that the motivation, I think that a lot of the support for Matt Gaetz is not in his side is not necessarily because Matt Gaetz is the champion of justice and liberty that America has been waiting for. He's just finally the one that is speaking out against kicking the can down the road and drawing a line in the sand and saying enough is enough. And there was a really interesting back and forth that just happened where Tom Cole from Oklahoma was saying that Matt Gaetz and his side are just creating problems, and there's certainly a strong case to be made for that. But Gates' answer, I think, encapsulated exactly what I was talking about. He said, I'm not here to create problems. I'm here to solve problems. And history proves that continuing resolutions don't do anything to solve the problems for the American people. And again, whether Matt Gaetz' approach is right or wrong or his end game is even realistic, I think that message of kicking the can down the road, what just happened?
He's just saying that there's way too much chatter. There's way too much side talk going on. I didn't mean to cut off Elise Stefanik, but there are too many people talking and yelling
now. Yeah, it's definitely getting, it's kind of like the debate.
I'm like, what's going on?
It's getting dramatic on the floor. So, Katie, what are your thoughts on this? And do you have a
well, Crane, I did want to ask you something because it to me it does. I think yesterday I said this when it was going down. I do believe that Kevin McCarthy did the right thing. I think that I understand the Republicans being sick and tired of being treated like they are second best at everything. I think they're sick and tired of all of their ideas being on the back burner and them not getting anything out of the deal. I completely agree with those ideas. But I think that what Kevin McCarthy did was justifiable, and I think he was doing it under the right pretenses. My question to you is negotiation coming with a negative, has it become a negative attribute? Have people been so PO'd at the other side for such a long time that now if negotiation happens, it doesn't feel like a genuine, authentic thing like what Kevin McCarthy just did to make the deal?
And it's a question we should all be asking ourselves. And we should be asking ourselves about the answer to that. Because the answer to that is yes, negotiation has become a bad word in regard to the parties working together, the candidates, whatever it may be. It's become a bad word. And so what you get out of it without negotiation is there's a time to make arguments and continue those arguments and make the case to the American people and give them the very best candidates to vote for. Okay, Captain Obvious, I get it. We can understand that. But we haven't had a unified message in the sense of the Republican Party. And when we look at the history of negotiation, yes, characterized by Tony Colombo, yes, I can see the case he is making. But when you get somebody who's giving you the best opportunity, and then you're passing that by, and then all of a sudden saying, hey, we're going to get rid of you, and we're going to cut off our nose and spite our face. And what else are we going to do? Because you had the audacity, the temerity to work with Democrats. Oh, that's what I'm doing. Sweet Moses, wake up.
Mm-hmm. And bipartisanship is
answer.
Yeah.
If you don't have the written answer, then why are you proposing the question in the sense of putting Congress in the state that you're looking at? We can all agree the national debt is crazy. It has been crazy. And remember where this started, with a ridiculous response to a financial crisis that was caused by the Democrats. Peter Wallison wrote a great piece on it. I digress. My point is, if you really want to analyze problems and solve them, get to the heart of the matter and deal with reality, not what you are aspiring to. Okay? The reality is government shutdown means Republicans will be blamed. And once again, we're talking about things that are not Biden and Democrats that are failing our country, but we're talking about the Republican Party and the civil war between the Republican Party. Look, what do you want the topic to be? Do you want it to be the defense of Donald Trump and all the cases, or the success of Ron DeSantis actually legislating and getting things done? Okay? I mean, these are all choices. And it really baffles me that we are in a time where we're not willing to actually hear what each party is saying. And I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about fellow Republicans and conservatives.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people saying, oh, Donald Trump should debate. That's strategically good. But it sucks for us.
It does. It does suck for us. It does suck for us.
So you got to have people make the case and respect you enough to do that.
And it also sucks for us because you're right. Bipartisanship is something that you're supposed to strive for. Now it's turned into this bad, it's used against you. Oh, he voted with Democrats. Even if it's something good, you're not supposed to do that. However, it's been tainted, I think, in the eyes of many, because bipartisanship and negotiations and finding middle ground and a path forward is exactly how it's supposed to work. But I think that there is a large group of people, not to keep beating a dead horse, but that feel like one side has taken advantage of the other for a very, very long time. There was just another exchange as we were talking that I thought pointed this out. When Elise Stefanik was up speaking on behalf of McCarthy, she had talked about how in this environment with such a razor-thin majority, she said that Kevin McCarthy has exceeded expectations as Speaker of the House, which is it's a very defensible statement. But Matt Gaetz slam dunks the response, I think, when he says, after she said that, given the status of this of the situation in this body, Kevin McCarthy's exceeded expectations. Matt Gaetz immediately says, if we're telling that the American people that the situation that they're in is exceeding expectations, then we need to raise expectations.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think, again, his end game, it's just a great, all I'm saying is that's a great point. That's a rallying, understandable point. I think that the best thing that you've pointed out, Crane, is that Matt Gaetz doesn't have an end game. There's no future to where he's going. It's just chaos.
I'll take the question that he offered about lower expectations.
Yeah, please.
Why have lower expectations? Hey, remember, Donald Trump sank the Georgia Senate election. Donald Trump picked candidates that were not going to win in the one in the primary, not in the general, 2022. How many times do we have to lose before we say, hey, guess what? There's a problem internally here. We need to get on the same page, because I think we all want to raise the standards and raise expectations.
This vote has to happen, Craig. We're almost out of time with you. This vote has to happen, or at least start in the next few minutes. So I'm sure that we're going to get some answers here very, very soon, probably before the end of our show. Do you, in an hour from now, is Kevin McCarthy Speaker of the House?
I think he is. I don't know how it's going to happen. I really don't. Some Democrats are going to have to go that way, but the Democrats were certainly united in not tabling the issue. I think that once there's a vote taken, it may take a number of votes, but I think there's a chance that he will lose it and then win it back.
Yeah, I think that is a more.
That's what I think.
I think that is a more reasonable. Yeah.
Sorry.
I think we're going to go through exactly what we went through in January. Again, I think he's going to be gone. It's going to be vacated. Unless he's got some Democrats on his side, which is very possible. There could be some lurking Democrats. There was a story out earlier today about Michael Bennet, the Democrat from Colorado, who initially was voting against Speaker McCarthy and the continuing resolution, but then he put out a statement saying that in the final budget package after the continuing resolution, all of the funding for Ukraine is there, and he was withholding his vote. So that basically gives credence to the idea of this backroom deal about Ukraine and all of this, that, McCarthy is saying one thing publicly but agreeing to other things in the background. So if that's the way this is shaping up, I could definitely see maybe a few lingering Democrats back there that may save the day for McCarthy. But, Crane, I think that the more likely scenario is that he loses the seat, and then we go through this whole thing that we did in January, and it goes on for days or weeks or however long it goes for. There's nobody else that has nearly the support or the ability to take that seat, and then it ends up being Kevin McCarthy again. And that doesn't sound very productive to me. Last 30 seconds, Crane, final thoughts.
Okay. Bottom line, I see your point, and I think we are totally wrong about Ukraine when it comes to defunding. I think it will be a historic mistake to do that. And I also think that people need to make a better case, obviously, for funding into Ukraine and looking at it, what the cost-benefit analysis is. And by the way, it would keep our word with the Budapest Memorandum, where we agreed to be secure for them.
Great stuff as always. Crane, thank you so much. NothingButTruth.com and Nothing But Truth on Facebook, and every Tuesday afternoon here with us, Crane Durham. Really appreciate your time as always, buddy. Love you.
Appreciate it.
Yep, great stuff. All right. This vote will be underway here momentarily. We will keep you up to speed every step of the way as they vote on removing possibly Kevin McCarthy from Speaker of the House. Also, by the way, Donald Trump's in a trial. We'll talk about that and more next.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to health care, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams. Parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
In a world where heroes walk among us shines the David Dorn Foundation. Named after a true hero, our foundation empowers those who risk their lives to protect us every day. We stand tall with unwavering dedication to provide our first responders with equipment often not supplied.
But we can't do it alone. We need your generosity of a few volunteer hours to provide our first responders with the tools they desperately need to save lives and keep our communities safe. Visit DornFoundation.com now to be part of our critical progress.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The GOP-led House has voted on a motion to kill Representative Matt Gaetz's effort to remove Speaker Kevin McCarthy from leadership.
The House failed to block the effort to oust McCarthy. Now, the House will have to vote on whether to remove McCarthy as Speaker, which would take only a majority to succeed. McCarthy can only afford to lose 4 GOP lawmakers if all Democrats vote against him and all members are present in voting. However, 5 Republicans have already said they will back the effort to remove McCarthy, meaning that he would need the support of Democrats to survive, assuming there are not extensive absences during the vote. Edwin Mora, Washington.
Former President Trump was back in a New York courtroom for the second straight day of a civil fraud trial, accusing him of grossly inflating the value of his businesses. President Biden has spoken with U.S. allies about continued support for Ukraine.
The White House says the president convened a call with 10 allies and partners to coordinate future support for Ukraine in its fight against Russia. The call came after Mr. Biden signed legislation over the weekend that kept the government funded but dropped his request for billions of dollars in aid for Ukraine.
That is White House correspondent Greg Clugston. The Nobel Prize in Physics has been awarded to 3 scientists who look at electrons in atoms during the tiniest of split seconds.
Eva Olsen, the chair of the Nobel Committee for Physics, profiles the researchers.
This year's prize honors the pioneering experimental work of Pierre Agostini, Ferenc Krauss, and Anne Lullier. They discovered that it is possible to generate these attosecond pulses.
This groundbreaking area of electrons research could one day lead to better electronics.
More of these stories at townhall.com.
You trade stocks, then you know avoiding pitfalls is the biggest challenge for both new and experienced investors. Vantage Point's dual patented artificial intelligence provides a powerful solution to this problem by offering predictive accuracy, emotional neutrality, and diverse market forecasts for today's active traders. Vantage Point's AI analyzes billions of data points in seconds, so you get highly accurate predicted market conditions for the next trading day. Take the emotion out of your trading. Text the word money to 813-813. free. Navigate the financial markets with confidence using AI. Text MONEY to 813-813 right now to learn more for free. Text money to 813-813 to experience the benefits of AI in your trading. Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance. By texting, you agree to the terms available at VantagePointSoftware.com and consent to receive calls and texts using automated technology about offers or info by or on behalf of VantagePoint. Your consent is not a condition to purchase and can be revoked at any time. Message and data rates may apply. Text the word money to 813-813.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
It's another warm one out there. Clouds at times, a little cloudy. 87 for the high temperature. And a little breeze out of the south at about 8 to 12 miles per hour. Overnight lows tonight don't dip down very much. Upper 60s to near 70 in the city. And a high tomorrow in the mid-80s. A slight chance of showers during the day, but a better chance for showers and some thunderstorms early Thursday. That's going to turn it much cooler for the weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
I have only one recommendation for you when it comes to jewelry. Vincent's Jewelers. I've had Vincent's custom make some pieces for me. I bought quality pieces right out of the case. Vincent's locally owned, supporting local charities for more than 42 years. Check their website daily for new items or specials. VincentsJewelers.com. VincentsJewelers.com. Give Vincent's a chance for your business. Vincent's, my only jeweler.
Fox News commentary.
Meatball, the Philly looting cheer captain, has been slapped with 6 felony charges. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
For over a decade, SimpliSafe has revolutionized home security, and our latest advancement is here, 24/7 LiveGuard protection, only from SimpliSafe. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplisafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Week, a shopping district in Philadelphia was ransacked, pillaged, and looted by teen thugs who once again used the phony guise of justice to go buck wild. One of those degenerates is a social media influencer named Meatball, who boasts over 600,000 followers. Meatball thought it would be good content to live stream the looting and encourage her fellow miscreants to ramp up their efforts. It was all fun and games for Meatball until she was arrested and charged with 6 felonies, including burglary, criminal trespassing, conspiracy, and criminal mischief. She can be seen crying in her mugshot, but I feel zero sympathy for her and her friends. Whether she will ever do hard time for her actions is questionable given the felon coddling system, but I hope they throw the book at her. The message needs to get out loud and clear. If you loot, riot, pillage, and destroy, you will be thrown in the clink and you will serve time. I'm Tommy Lahren.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Well, here we go. It's history in the making right now. No matter how this turns out, they are voting. They aren't doing the electronical vote that they have done for the other votes of the day. This is a roll call vote. So they are going alphabetically, name by name, through every member of the United States House and voting right now on whether to remove Kevin McCarthy from his speaker position. And right now, the vote is 24 yay, 26 nay. There are 4. It all comes down to math. Everybody keeps talking about the math. It all comes down to math. And there are 435 members of Congress. There's at least 2 people, however, that aren't there. There's one congresswoman that I can't remember where she's from, but just had a baby. And so she's not there. Nancy Pelosi is not there because of Dianne Feinstein's funeral in California. So that leaves 433 members of Congress. If there may be more missing, but I know that those 2 are missing. I don't know of any others. So I'm going to assume that there's 433
who would
people
miss
there.
this?
Right. In fact, I think Nancy Pelosi should still be there. I understand there's a funeral, but what's more important than this? I can't. I mean, it's I don't know. I feel like it's your job. You should be there. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. So let's say there's 433. Typically, it's 218 is the magic number when there's a full group. But if it's 433, then 217 is the magic number. So 217, but that also is assuming that everybody votes yay or nay. Some people will vote present.
Yeah.
Because you can do that.
I wonder who those people are going to be.
Well, maybe there won't be. Maybe there won't be. But
this seems like I think.
But that is
yay
a
or nay.
but that is a possibility.
Yeah, right.
But that is a possibility.
Right.
So, but assuming there's nobody that votes present and there's nobody missing besides the two that I just mentioned, it will take 217 votes, yays, to remove Kevin McCarthy from his speakership position. And right now they are about 68 votes in, 37 yays to 31 nays, now 32 nays.
Incredible. Incredible.
We'll keep an eye on it over here over the next couple minutes. This is going to take a few minutes to play out, but we will have an answer in the next several minutes. I will be surprised, honestly, if he's not removed in this vote. I think that what we just talked about with Crane Durham is a very likely scenario that he will be removed today. And then we will go through exactly what we went through in January, which was several days of multiple rounds of voting over and over and over and over again with nobody coming close to having support on either side to be speaker. And then we will eventually land again on Kevin McCarthy, which is bad for everybody because it's even bad for Kevin McCarthy, even if he remains Speaker of the House after all of this is said and done, because he's already weak. We were just listening to a reporter, Chad Pergram, who kept saying weaker speaker.
Weaker speaker.
He's a weaker speaker. He's a weaker speaker. Well, he is, and he will be an even weaker speaker after this plays out. He's already a weaker speaker than we've seen in the past. And if this all happens and he gets back in again after another week or so of votes, he'll be an even more weaker speaker. They only need a handful of Republicans to vote yay. We assume all the Democrats are going to vote yay.
Mm-hmm.
And then that leaves you only need 4 or 5, like I said, just depending on the math is a little weird, but 4, 5, 6 Republicans to vote yay is all it takes. And there were 11 Republicans that voted against him when they could have tabled this, when they could have stopped all this earlier today when they said, there was a vote to just table this whole move and say don't even vote. And 11 Republicans said, no, we should vote. So why would you say you do want to vote to remove him and then change your vote in the final? So if there's 11, that's way more than enough.
Yeah,
like we're talking about 4 or 5 is all they really need.
Which is why I think exactly the purpose of what you've been pointing out this whole time. Matt Gaetz and the party, his side of the party was like, we don't need to speak anymore. We want to vote and the deal's done. But I think the other people kept going because they're like, is there any hope for any of those 11 to come over and switch what they were going to vote on? I'm also thinking, like, what are the Democrats thinking in all of this?
They're
like,
loving it.
Are the Democrats just
They're loving
like,
it.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that this is...
If your opponent is falling apart, if your opponent is tearing each other apart from the inside, then that's the best thing for you. Because, as we pointed out yesterday, this whole show today has been about this because this is history. I mean, this is American history. However this vote comes out, there's never been a speaker removed like this before. And if that's what happens, I mean, then we really are in the history books. So this is what we should be talking about today. However, we pointed out yesterday, there was just yesterday a Democrat removed from leadership because he spoke out against Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Like the Democrat Party is in just as bad shape. There's just as much infighting and division on the
fire
Democratic
alarms.
side. Yeah, exactly, which we haven't even had a chance to talk about.
Pulling fire alarms to escape a vote.
That's another crazy story that I wanted to talk about today because there's been more developments on that. But this has been so overwhelming, this situation with Kevin McCarthy. So the Democrats they're just as divided as the Republicans right now. There's just as many in-party problems with the Democrats as there are the Republicans. But the Republicans are the ones that are under the spotlight.
Oh, yeah.
They're the ones that are getting all of the attention right now. So the Democrats can kind of hide in the shadows, stay silent, and maybe put out the appearance of a unified party, even though that's not true, to the American people, which could be, maybe better for them, at least in the short term, as they try to accomplish some things, especially when, with the
what the heck
chaos
are we
happening.
Moving towards?
Right.
What are we moving towards?
But make no doubts that the Democrats are just as much of a mess as Republicans.
Absolutely.
But the Republicans are the ones under the spotlight right now. So a little more than 120 votes in right now. The yeas are 67. The nays are 64. It's going to continue to be tight. This will be done in a few minutes, and we'll know if Kevin McCarthy has been removed from his speaker position. While we have a minute, let's touch on a couple of other things. As we mentioned, we always wonder how do you kick Donald Trump out of the headlines? I guess by removing the Speaker of the House is the only way to do it, because Donald Trump is in court today,
right?
And we haven't even talked about it. The former president declared that his trial is a scam as he showed up for day 2 of his hearing earlier this morning. Trump made the comments to reporters as the first recess of the day ended. New York Attorney General Letitia James has charged Trump with fraudulently overvaluing his assets during business negotiations. Trump's defense team argues that the Trump Organization repeatedly urged partners to conduct their own value assessments of Trump's properties, however, and they have also stated that there are no victims of Trump's alleged fraud. It's on paper, the Donald Trump case in what's happening in New York is very strong. However, we know that the judge and the attorney general up there are extremely biased. So
I saw some video, some clips of that judge.
Doesn't necessarily, what seems to be obvious, it does not necessarily mean that it's going to be obvious is what happens up there in New York. Donald Trump said to reporters this morning, quote, they were paid more money. I'm sorry, quote, they were paid, made money. There was no fraud. They are all happy. In many pages, it says you must understand that you must do your due diligence. Don't rely on anything. This case is a scam. There can't be fraud when you tell institutions to do their own work. That was all this morning during the first recess. Then a couple hours ago, they broke for lunch, and Donald Trump did not speak to reporters, but did flash the double thumbs up to the group of reporters.
We're okay.
So, the former president continues to make his very, very strong case to the press and to the judge there in New York. But again, this is not a jury. This is not a jury of his peers deciding this. It's the judge who has a very built-in bias. So just because the evidence seems to be
donating to Democrats, a history of donating to Democrats, smiling ear to ear, mind you, yesterday in the courtroom whenever they flashed over to the judge.
Yep. Speaking of courtrooms and big names in court today, Hunter Biden was in court today pleading not guilty to his federal gun charges. This all went down this morning. The president's son appeared in person in court for his arraignment earlier today after being charged with making a false statement in the purchase of a firearm, also making a false statement related to information required to be kept by a federal firearms license dealer, and one count of possession of a firearm by a person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to a controlled substance. With all counts combined, the total maximum prison time for the charges could be up to 25 years, and each count carries a maximum of $250,000 of a fine and 3 years of supervised release. Biden pleaded not guilty to all 3 charges. The judge presiding over the hearing laid out the conditions for Hunter Biden's release today, which require the president's son to seek employment. His history of seeking employment is not good, Judge. So I'm not sure.
Not at all.
I'm not sure that we want him to go get another corrupt job. And communicate all international travel plans. Hunter Biden is also prohibited from possessing a firearm and using alcohol and drugs, and he is required to get drug tested randomly and participate in a substance abuse counseling program. The judge said that the conditions are appropriate, and both sides, the government and the defense, agreed. The judge explained that both the government and the defense have a deadline of November 3rd for any motions to be filed, and we already know, because they've already announced it, that Hunter's lawyers are going to file a motion to dismiss all of the charges, which I can't imagine being granted, but that's what's going to happen. So Hunter Biden also in court this morning pleading not guilty. And again, these are only on those federal gun charges. Nothing to do with anything else. All of the corruption and business deals and ugly things surrounding.
So as this
Hunter.
story was being reported, I was just scrolling through my feed today, and the New York Post put a photo of Hunter next to a naked photo of Hunter with one of the guns. And it just there is no way that people can forget about the photos we found on the laptop. And it doesn't matter that this charge happened. I'm happy that the charges are happening, even though I think that there should definitely be more. I think we have the evidence for more. But it just brought me back to a time when we discovered the laptop and we found the photos in the laptop that weren't redacted, or that the things that we were allowed to see as the public. There are photos of him naked holding up the guns. There are photos of him naked doing crack. It's insane that this is the only level that we're on with Hunter right now.
that he was in possession of guns that
we saw him
weren't allowed to have
with prostitutes.
But it's also pretty obvious that he took advantage of the American people through his father.
Yes.
And there was it's pretty obvious that there was mass corruption in the Biden family at the expense of Americans, but nobody's being held to account for any of that right now. So just because it seems pretty obvious, well, just like the Trump thing. I mean, what's happening in New York? Again, this is, don't get confused. There's so many indictments against Donald Trump, the ones that you may have a strong opinion about election fraud and what, Donald or January 6th and what Trump did, with the election or in regards to January 6th. But this in New York, we're talking about past business partners or people that were making deals with Donald Trump, and the state of New York saying that he lied about how much money his buildings were worth. I mean, that's what that case is about. It's nothing to do with just like the Hunter Biden case has nothing to do with all of the corruption that him and Joe have been attached to. The Trump situation has nothing to do with the election or J6 or anything else.
It's Mar-a-Lago.
It's a totally almost made up case on, you undervalued or overvalued your the value of your buildings and your home and all of that.
But in this
moment, there's proof that he said, even if I did, I told all of them to do in all the paperwork, do your own research, and value these buildings and properties and all of that, so on your own.
It's insane though, because you read those two stories, and we've of course been watching what's going on with McCarthy. And just right now in this moment, I want to remember a year from now, 2 years from now, all three of these stories are so insane and so critical to the unfolding of American history, as you just said before on this vote for McCarthy, that but it also feels completely normal. All of like the rapidness in which we're talking about McCarthy and Trump in court and Hunter Biden, those are all separately important things that have never happened before. But it feels normal because that's the way we move.
Mm-hmm.
That's the news cycle we are in.
Mm-hmm. All right, we are over halfway there as far as these votes are concerned. Right now, the yays to remove Kevin McCarthy from his position as Speaker of the House, the yay vote is at 115. The nay vote is at 116. It's about as close
neck and neck
as you could possibly be. And again, we know that there are at least a couple of members of Congress that aren't there. I think the total votes that are going to be cast today is 433. So there's over 230 that have been cast at this point. So we are more than halfway there. Right now it's tied at 118 to 118. I mean, that's how close it's going to be. So we will know in the next couple of moments if there will be a Speaker of the House when we all go to bed tonight, or if that is going to be vacated and we will have to go through the whole process of selecting a new speaker or possibly even the same speaker, which is my prediction. So we should have those answers for you in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
He said, tell me
You're listening to Colombo and Katie. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Zero Res is the cleaning team that we have trusted at our home for years, and they are the team that you can trust as well. Zero Res can clean just about any surface of your home. We a lot of times focus on carpets for a very good reason, because carpets are not only a huge investment in your home, but also the biggest air filter in your home. So if they haven't been cleaned by Zero Res recently, you are just rebreathing and recirculating all of the germs and dander and bacteria and all of that is in your air. And so it's important to make sure you get your carpets cleaned. But we use them for everything. Furniture, upholstery, tile, air ducts, whatever it is. Any surface in your home basically can be cleaned by the cleaning pros at Zero Res. And right now for the month of October, they actually have a wonderful offer that you can take advantage of. Just mention the Colombo Special when you book a cleaning in the month of October, and you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 plus $50 off that air duct cleaning. Again, perfect time of year to take advantage of this great offer. Just make sure you book your cleaning in the month of October and mention the Colombo Special. And again, you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129, plus you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. Again, just mention the Colombo Special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online anytime at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forwards or backwards. It spells the same, Zero Res.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
So how many of you remember or even know about a film in 2004 titled A Day Without a Mexican? It was a mockumentary aimed at California-based Mexicans, representing a third of that state's population. Suddenly they disappear. And before long, the lack of Latino maids, construction workers, police officers, teachers, an entire social, political, economic disaster. You remember that? NPR did a piece on it about 2 years later because at that time they were looking at a possible national boycott dealing with changing U.S. policy on illegal immigration. And one of the writers of the film said, we were prophetic in a way because actually, even 10 years before the film came out in 94, we had a California candidate running for governor talking about how much the Latino labor immigrants, illegals, cost the state. But they didn't say about how much they actually put into the state economy. And so it was born a day without a Mexican.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hundreds of homeowners and businesses had or will have water main breaks. Wellington Environmental has a warning. You can clean up the water, but if you're not checking areas where the water leaked in the walls where you can't see it, you could end up exposing your family, your employees, your clients to hazardous mold. Wellington Environmental reminds you, if that mold is not detected, properly treated, removed, that is a risk, a liability you do not want. Wellington clients, including hospitals and schools, trust Wellington to make their environments safe. Call 314-644-4930, 644-4930. AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau, 314-644-4930. Wellington Environmental, your world, cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Hey, Colombo here, reminding you that cybersecurity has never been more important, so you need to ask yourself, is your business prepared for a possible ransomware attack? And if you have any doubt, you need to call the team at ThrottleNet today. ThrottleNet provides world-class managed IT services and IT support to many local organizations, including my family's own small business. They're St. Louis's highest rated and most reviewed outsourced IT company, and there's many different ways ThrottleNet can help with your business's operation and digital protection. Learn more now at throttlenet.com.
This is Christina Strait with Strait Realty reminding you, why pay more than $4? In 2003, we had a dream to start a real estate company that would revolutionize the real estate market. Now, 20 years later, after navigating through the many markets' ups and downs, we know exactly how to help you in this challenging time. I'm Christina Strait, owner of Strait Realty. Don't give away your hard-earned equity. Give us a call today, 314-441-4444, 314-441-all-4s. And remember, why pay more than $4?
Strait Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
You can spend a lot of restless nights trying to figure out how you're going to make all those credit card payments. Why not consolidate all your debt into one manageable payment? My friends at Homestead Financial Mortgage can help with a cash-out refinance. Contact them today. Take the first step in regaining your financial freedom. Use my website, larry.homesteadfinancial.com. Take charge of your financial future. Go to my website, larry.homesteadfinancial.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
So I wonder how many times former Speaker of the House Tim Jones pulled an emergency fire alarm in the house in Jefferson City. We'll ask him about that Wednesday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. So, as everyone who listens every day knows, at 3:45 every day we go to the O'Reilly report, with Bill O'Reilly, and then the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show picks it up at 4 o'clock. If we have to, we will stay with you and maybe join the O'Reilly report in progress, because we don't want to miss the final vote here and bring you that information the second that it happens. So right now there are well over 300 votes cast of the 433, I believe, that are actually going to be cast there today, because there's a couple of members of Congress that are not in the Capitol today. Right now, the yeas are at 163 to the nays 160, and this is the vote to remove Kevin McCarthy from the Speaker of the House position. And no matter what happens here, it's going to be American history, especially if for the first time, if we remove a Speaker of the House in this fashion. So we want to make sure that you get that, you get that information live and immediately. So we'll stay with you here if we need to preempt a little bit of O'Reilly. Tony Colombo here, Katie Fitzpatrick there. And what do you do when there's a major news story breaking? You go out and you get the best newsman you can find to help you cover it. And Larry Connors is here in studio with us. Larry, while we have a minute or two before we get the final decision here, just overall, it's not understated to say that this is a date in American history.
It is.
No matter how this turns out.
It is. And the issue then becomes how much of it is ego and how much of it has legitimacy.
Yes.
A lot of folks favor McCarthy. Let me rephrase that. Favor a lot of what Gates is saying, but this is the wrong step. They have, instead of circling the wagons and making the most of what they've got by a very thin margin of Republicans holding the House, they are having a basic circular shooting squad. I mean,
right,
and it's just not good.
It's the opposite
and the
of circling
Democrats
the wagons.
are lapping it up. They're loving it. They're loving it. They're shooting each other down, and just ahead of the election, of course, Gates has to rely on Democrats to support him.
Yeah.
So he's asking them
All
to do
of
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because he was not going to get enough Republican votes, it doesn't appear. And watching how it's going through now, I think McCarthy should probably survive, but I think I can't quite see all the numbers from here. But
right now it's 179 to 169. There's a couple of members.
179, yeah, okay.
There's a couple of members of Congress that aren't there. Nancy,
well, somebody will pull a fire alarm and get in there.
That's
Come on.
That's one way to put a stop to all this. So
217 is needed to take him out.
Correct. So we were talking earlier in the show to Crane Durham about this, and this has been sort of my take on this throughout the day. The message coming from the Matt Gaetz side, I think, is more authentic to me.
Yeah.
It resonates.
It does.
This idea of like enough is enough.
Yes.
We've played ball. We've negotiated with Democrats. We've given ground for years. It's time to draw a line in the sand. And I think that is a very it connects. It resonates.
Well,
with
it definitely
people.
does.
However, there's no next step. So as much as I agree with some of the things that Matt Gaetz and his side are saying, you have to have a solution on the other
and
side.
He's not offering anybody. He had no one who's going to really offer.
We did this in January. Does that
Yeah.
person even exist, Larry? The person that could? I mean,
Well-
my prediction is that he does get removed now, but then we're just going to do what we did in January. We're going to go through multiple rounds of votes, and we're going to end back up with Kevin McCarthy at the end of the day.
I had some clips from Tennessee Congressman Burnett, and he's saying, Gates really doesn't want it. He said, he said, I would take the electric chair over being the chair of the House at this point. So, that's how it is. And then just yesterday, you had a Republican congresswoman threatening to Victoria Sparks, saying that she was going to resign if we cannot get this national debt created, a national debt commission created by the end of the year. She said, this is the main reason I'm here, and I'm losing time with my family and the kids. If we're not going to do what the public needs done. So to that point, Tony, you're exactly right. The message Gates has, many agree with, but
right.
You're never going to have a perfect bill. You
Right.
can't do that. It
Right.
just won't work. You just have to avoid the left approach of compromise. You come over here and we'll talk about it. No, we come together, the
Right,
center. Yeah.
Right. And for years, and this is we made this point earlier with Crane also, for years that's been the way that it has gone. Republicans have always negotiated. They've always been the ones that have given a little. They always, say that we're giving a little because we're going to get a little. But Democrats are very good at this, and they never give a little. The Republicans always give. And and Republicans are the ones that lose ground.
They move the goalpost every time.
Exactly, and I think that is why Matt Gaetz and his side are connecting with a group of conservative voters across the country right now, is because they're all saying enough is enough. They're not thinking, and which I also understand. about the next step. They are just focused on
They've got to be
enough's
thinking
enough.
about it. I mean,
I know.
I can't believe someone like Chip Roy is not thinking about it.
Yeah, or
but it's not being expressed.
I'm saying the people that are supporting them.
Right. Well,
the vocal voters that are supporting Gates, they're not thinking about the next step. They're just thinking about it. Somebody's finally standing up there and saying, "I'm putting a line in the sand, and we're gonna hold this together."
I'm all about making all the statements, and you're right. I don't know if there's been a backdoor Ukraine deal that they've talked about. Which, by the way, Indiana Congresswoman Sparks Astenu was thinking. He said, "I'm going to resign if we're not going to get a debt commission put together by the year." She is from Ukraine. And she became an American citizen, so she knows the value of democracy, and she doesn't see it actually working. Can you believe that? She's here, and she said, well, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Wow.
So it's getting down to the very end here, and the yays have pulled away a little bit, as we mentioned earlier. So there's 435 members of the House. We know that 2 members are not there.
They're absent.
Nancy Pelosi is at Dianne Feinstein's funeral, and there's another congresswoman who just had a baby.
Right.
Now, there's a possibility of somebody voting present, but assuming that doesn't happen, the math is what Larry pointed out a moment ago, that 217 is the magic number. If everybody is there, it'd be 218. But today it's 217. Right now, the yeas are at 207. The nays are at 191, now 208.
Well, now, you do note, and I'm sure you probably already noted it earlier anyway, and that when they called for a voice vote, it was overwhelmingly no against the proposition.
No. Yes.
And Gates exercised his right to ask for a roll call vote, which is what they're going through.
Because I think it was, and the reason I think it was so overwhelming is because, like you said, the Democrats are just lapping it up. They're sitting there, hands folded, just letting the Republicans tear each other up. So when that voice vote was called for, I don't think the Democrats really said it. I don't think any of them made a peep. But the overwhelming majority of Republicans are against this.
Yeah,
but
you could hear
you only need a half dozen. You only need 5 or 6 people.
We only have a 3 to 5 vote margin in the House.
Exactly.
As it is
You only
now.
need 4
That's
or 5.
assuming they're really going to vote as a true conservative, and some you have doubts about anyway.
So this is getting very close. I can't do the math.
I see 212 at
212 to 198.
198, okay.
213 to 198.
Yeah.
So I don't know. 4 more votes, and Kevin McCarthy will be removed.
I can't tell where they are in the alphabet of who they're calling at this point.
I can't either. So, but we're gonna know here in just a moment. It's 215 to 199, which means
it's gonna change it. It's gonna hold. Yeah.
So we're at 2. There's been 415 votes cast. 216. Yeah, he is going to be removed. It's going to happen here in just a moment. We may go live to the Capitol if we can. Right now that we cannot because of that. Mm-hmm. But let's just see. Right now it's still at 216 to 203. Let's make it official, and then let's discuss what happens next, because it's what happens next, Larry, that's going to be the mess.
And that's my focus at 6 o'clock. And 8 o'clock tonight is I'm just gonna ignore today's voting. I'm saying, what are we doing beyond here?
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm looking into the
aftermath.
future.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's funny that this is just sitting on 216. It got there so fast.
This is not putting out the fire. It's still simmering and smoldering. I mean, the acrimony between the two, the Gates side and the McCarthy side, is not going to go away. Democrats are going to continue to build on it.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Now I wonder. So right now, it's sort of paused here. 216 yays to 206 nays. I don't know why it's paused, because it's been moving along. I wonder if there were some presents voted, if there were some people that voted present.
I'm looking at one of the updates. I see that there are, if this is true, well, now this is dated. You got to really be careful when you're pulling stuff up now.
Yeah.
Much less for
especially
the AI,
today, because
much less AI stuff.
No kidding. Yeah, no kidding. And especially today, because everything is happening. Are they live? Yeah, let's go live to the floor here for a second. And
I think it's
Yeah, go ahead and go. Go ahead.
Not vote. They only vote a few times a year. He tends to vote a little more frequently than others. But if you see that board go for sure to 217, based on the overall math of the House, because there's 433 members, they have effectively ousted the Speaker. We cannot say that definitively right now because of these potential absences. And you don't know if somebody else might vote or change their vote at the very end. So that's why, it could be, the goose could be cooked right now. We just don't know. So that's why, as they get down to the final bit here, Susan Cole, the reading clerk, continues.
Now, he raised a very interesting point that some could change their vote.
At the end, you get a chance
to.
Yep. At the end, you get a chance to change.
Which means you could go through another roll call if Gates won.
Right now, it's at 216 yeas, 208 nays. And again,
they got 424 counted there.
Yeah, and it's there's 433. We believe 433 members of Congress.
Yeah, includes representatives of Puerto Rico and others as well. But
so that's not every vote counted.
No,
we know that at least 2 members of Congress are not there. So that's why we say That's why we're saying 433 instead of 435. Got to 216 yay and 209 nay, and then it just froze. And it had been flying. The numbers had been flying to that point. So this is interesting.
Or they go back to the count here. See if
433 here. Let's go ahead and go back to it, Katie. Here, let's see.
Luna.
No, it's next.
This is live on the House floor in Washington, D.C.
By the way, thanks for inviting me in to join you guys.
Thanks
you guys have a great program every day.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of this, Larry.
Nay.
216 yay to 210 nay.
Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi's not there.
Pelosi.
Keep calling. Pull a fire alarm.
Yeah. Nancy Pelosi is at Dianne
Peltola.
Feinstein's funeral, so she is not there.
Peltola.
There is also one member of Congress who just had a baby who is not there. I don't know who that is specifically.
Whose phone's going off in there?
Sykes.
Yes. People got phones ringing in the Capitol. The 200.
Are there other members in this body who have not been recorded or who wish to change their vote?
So only 226 votes counted right now, tallied on the board right now. 216 yay to 210 nay, which is not the full group. There's 433 there, and there's 226
saw one hand
votes
go up
counted.
to change a vote. I assume they was responding to that.
Yeah, so we're going to stay with this live on the House floor to see how this... If there have been votes that are present, and that's why there's this discrepancy, then the yays still have it at 216 to 210.
But again, the underlying issues are not going to go away with this vote. And and who's going to step up as speaker, as I say, if McCarthy's out? Now, Matt Gaetz has always made a point. Look, it took 15 ballots to get you in. I gave you the final vote, kind of like I brought you into this. I can take you out of it.
Yeah, let's hear what that.
432 in attendance who
432
could vote. 4 to 26
So there's 3 missing.
have. 432 means that 6 have not. That's me doing the math backwards. Always dangerous, my friends. But again, in that environment, it would take one more to cinch it. That you need 217 votes either way, yay or nay. Yay, of course, to
okay. So
to get rid.
Larry, it's interesting. Why if that's the truth, what we just heard there, that 6 members of Congress that are in the room have not voted yet. Are they still deciding? What do you think is happening?
The whip is working them over, basically. If the whip is obviously on behalf of McCarthy trying to,
let's go back here.
Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
Wow. So there you go.
Wow.
It has been officially declared.
Wow.
So because
This
they were lacking
is truly
those.
American. This is truly a moment in American history. Kevin McCarthy has been removed as Speaker of the House. We'll find out what the discrepancy in the votes are. Why there's
I think you're probably right. It's based upon those who either
Present,
didn't vote, were
possibly?
not present, they didn't vote present, they didn't vote at all. And so there's some out there that are going to have to explain why they didn't
Yeah.
take a position.
Exactly. So
Same as the ones who took a position will have to explain.
435 members of Congress. 432 is our understanding of people in the building.
Right.
So 432 votes should have been cast. It's not 432, it's 426. So there's 6 votes out there, which by the way would make it a tie.
Yeah, I know.
Which could you want to talk about adding another layer of
They got to be
nuttiness.
they got to be working those pretty hard. Whip those in the line.
But it doesn't matter because the gavel has fallen.
Yep.
The resolution has passed. The motion has passed. Kevin McCarthy. So we'll get these answers. Why are there 6 votes that are not accounted for?
I'm trying to check a couple sources here.
Were there more people missing than we thought? Were there people that voted present? Were there people that just didn't vote at all? Because there's a discrepancy there of 6 votes that seemingly did not get counted.
Well, again, I mean,
but it doesn't. None of that matters.
I know there are only 221 Republicans in the House anyway. So if he got 216, there are 5 Republicans that are missing from that number.
Yeah.
There should be 221.
Well, there were 11 Republicans that voted earlier against when they had the opportunity to table this and not move forward anymore. 11 Republicans voted essentially against Kevin McCarthy. They voted against the tabling of the measure.
Well, look at the number, though, too. You got, as I say, 221 Republicans in the House. You got 216 voting to oust him. You had 212 Democrats in the House. 210 are voting to keep him. There's a lot of behind-the-door smoke
dealings,
room.
Yeah, no kidding.
Handshakes,
So
money.
it is official, and the House is now in recess. The gavel has fallen again.
Yeah.
So the vote is over.
And McCarthy can run again.
He can run again.
He will.
He probably will, and he probably will win again. That's earlier when I was talking about. I think that is my prediction early on here.
I don't doubt it.
Is that we are going to go through exactly the same process we went through in January, and at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, it's going to be Kevin McCarthy again. But we'll see how that all plays out. A lot of questions to be answered here, but here's the bottom line: the vote is in. 216 yay to 210 nay. That's the full vote for the House on this day. And
5
officially, Kevin McCarthy is no longer Speaker of the House, and the United States at this moment does not have a Speaker of the House.
Which should irritate all Americans, that obviously conservatives, because you had a narrow margin, and now you've got this kind of disarray. You had to go to the Democrats to get help to keep your speaker. You know, in the beginning, when he was going through those 15 ballots, there was talk that, the Democrats could put Hakeem Jeffries forward, and they could probably pull enough Republicans and get him to be Speaker.
They did that in January.
That's
he was
exactly
nominated
right.
for
That's
Speaker
right.
of the House.
So
they
that
nominated,
option.
Republicans nominated Jim Jordan.
Yeah.
And he didn't even want it.
No, Jordan said he didn't
and he was
want
on the ballot.
Yeah.
They got voted on. So I think we're going to go through all that madness again. But so
remember, the starting issue is he says McCarthy did not hold to everything he said. Made side deals with Democrats on Ukraine. I don't know if that's true. He didn't, did not pull up, Biden's son, Hunter, and others, get them in there and start doing testimony as they had done with Eric Trump and others when they were going after Trump. And that stuff was still going to play out. But you don't have to rush to judgment.
Yeah.
As what they've been trying to do. Mm-hmm. And if you remember, Adam Schiff never had any piece of evidence, nor witness that he claimed he had.
That is Larry Connors. Before we hand things over to the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show, Larry, your prediction going forward, as far as how this is going to play out. Do you believe that once the smoke clears and we go through rounds of voting again, we're back to square one with Kevin McCarthy, or do you entertain that there could be a different Speaker of the House as a result of this vote today?
You know, I've seen a lot of goat ropings and train wrecks. I've never seen anything like this.
No, this is pretty amazing.
But I've been in several three-ring circuses. Maybe that's where we are.
Yeah, no kidding. Katie, what are your thoughts?
I think that all of this is to say that Matt Gaetz and his faction of the Conservative Party brought up some excellent points, some of which, when we were off air, he brought up even more excellent points. And I think the passion and I think the drive to change this Conservative Party into something better is there. This might not have been the time. And now you have no plan. You have no support of a plan. You have no structure. And to Crane's point earlier, now we are thrown into the midst of chaos. What does that do for our presidency? What does that do for our Congress? And most importantly, what do the American people do when they look at this situation and say, who is in control?
One other
could
point.
Could be bad, could be good.
One other point. A new speaker could change chairmanship of various committees.
Oh, yeah.
And move
they could.
House Ways and Means, tear it apart, Judiciary Committee. I mean, they could.
They could. I don't know if it's bad or I don't know if it's good.
Katie, really quick, before we wrap this up, Matt Gaetz is speaking. Let's dip in here for just a second and hear what Matt Gaetz has to say.
Washington would work, and he violated that agreement. We are $33 trillion in debt. We are facing $2.2 trillion annual deficits. We face a de-dollarization globally that will crush Americans, working-class Americans. Kevin McCarthy is a feature of the swamp. He has risen to power by collecting special interest money and redistributing that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better.
So if not Kevin and then comes the campaign for Gaetz for president.
Right.
Well, there you have it. There is no Speaker of the House in the United States of America as of this moment. Kevin McCarthy has just been removed on a vote of 216 to 210. There's going to be some questions that need to be answered on the votes that seemingly weren't cast in this vote this afternoon. And also, of course, the road ahead of finding either a new speaker or the possibility of just spinning our tires and ending back up where we started with Kevin McCarthy at the very beginning. Thank you for being with us for an extended edition of Colombo and Katie. Larry Connors, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Putting in a little overtime today. Of
More on at 6 to 8. And, of course, I know Tim and Chris will have their take.
That's right, exactly. Larry Connors, USA, every day at 6 o'clock. And the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show is next. Colombo and Katie back tomorrow at 2. Thanks so much for supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next